Hi, this is Dave and welcome to the Table, a series of videos where I review and discuss various board and card games, looking at them from a family perspective. Today, we're going to be taking a look at Hot Tin Roof from Mayfair Games, and this is a cat-filled adventure game where you are working to get your group of little furry felines back together by building and navigating a bunch of paths along rooftops in a city. Sound like a lot of fun? All right, let's take a look at this game, how it's played, and I'll come back and I'll give you my thoughts. Okay, let's take a look at the components here in Hot Tin Roof, and the first thing that you see here is the game board, and this is a nighttime scene of a city with a bunch of different rooftops here, and you see all these lighter sections here are a bunch of patios. We have a large stack of these home tiles here that will have the names of two different families, and then for easy reference to find them on here, we've got these two little faces of these cats that will kind of help you find them on this map here. We also have the player pieces here, and let me zoom down here so you can see what we're looking at here. There's for 4 players, we have these, each player will receive 2 sets of cat tokens here. So we've got one pair that will be lying down, the other one will be sitting. Each player will receive 6 of these catwalk tiles here and 3 of these shelter tiles. So they come in like a whitish color, and orange, black, and gray. Next we have a bunch of these sardine can tokens, which are going to be used as money. And then finally, what I have laying along the side of the board here are a bunch of fish tokens, which are going to be rewards for this game. Alright, now that we've looked at the components, let me get the game set up and I will show you how it's played. Okay, to set up Hot Tin Roof here, what each player is going to do is take their starting pieces and place them in front of them here. So we've got our cat pawns, our catwalk tiles, and our shelter tiles here. We have 3 players here in this demo here. And then each player is going to take 10 of these sardine can tokens here, and they're going to place them in front of them. And then what we're going to do is we're going to lay out these fish tiles next to the game board here. In a 3-player game, there will be 12 fish tiles. In a 4-player game, we'll use all 14. Next, we're going to shuffle up all these home tiles, and we're going to reveal the top 3, and we're going to place them in front of these 3 green dumpsters here on the game board. And so this is the only space where these are going to be placed. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take some seed money, essentially, and we're going to put these sardine cans on each of these spaces. So these 3 green dumpsters are going to start off with 4 sardine cans in front of them each, and then 1 on the catwalk and 1 on the shelter. Now, the sardine cans are the main currency in this game, and that's what you're going to use in an effort to be able to play in the game, because on each of your turns, you're going to have to ante up to be a part of this game. And so here, the white player, this will be their first player's turn, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do. At the start of the turn, you're going to take 5 sardine can tokens in your hand, and you're going to do what's called an ante here, and you're going to place 1 on each of these 5 spaces. Okay, now that you're anteed, you can take one of those 5 spaces and do that particular action. So here we might want to go ahead and grab one of these home tiles here, and this is going to put some of our cats on the board. So let's grab this one here, and it says the Fenlons and the Johnstons. And if we look at the map here, there's kind of going to give you an indication as to where the 2 locations are to make it easy. So when we take that, we're going to take any of the sardine cans that are on that particular space, and we're going to place them back in our supply of sardine cans. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a matching pair of cats here, so I've got the ones that are lying down, and I'm going to put one on the Fenlons here, and the other one which is on the Johnstons over here. So now that we've done that, I'm going to reveal another tile here from the stack. Now, what this player is going to try to do, and as well as the other players, is try to get these cats together. And if we take a closer look at the game board here, we'll see that even though there's this cat on the roof, there's a gap here across the street. So, you can see there's other ways for the cats to be moving around, but when it comes to going across the streets or different things like that, there is a space there, and so we're going to have to build catwalks and attempt to get them together. So that's going to be another action that we're going to want to take here in this game. So anyways, that was the first player's turn. They did that. Next player here is going to ante up here. One here, one here, one here, one here, and one here. Now, as you can see, that these are starting to accumulate some sardine cans, and they're going to become very appealing at one point. So, but this particular player right here, this orange one, they're going to go with a different strategy, and they're going to take this shelter action over here, and what they're going to do is they're going to place a shelter on one of these rooftops here. And I'll get to it in a second what that is going to do. And finally, the black player is going to ante up here, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this one here, they're going to go ahead and grab a rooftop or a home tile as well and put those all in front of them over here. And this is for the Dontonvilles and the Lorenz. So we're going to take a set of cats here. We'll put one here. Here's the Lorenz, and here's the Dontonvilles. They'll place that in front of them here and reveal another tile. Okay, now that everybody has had their first turn, I want to talk about a couple of things here. And if you notice here, I kind of fast forwarded some of the action here to explain a few things. First of all, when it comes to the home tiles, you can only have 2 of these in front of you at one time. So if you take a second one here, your second pair of cats is out on the board, you won't be able to take another one until you get one of those pairs of cats together. So essentially what will happen is if you have 2 of them, these actions here, you won't be able to take them. However, you still will have to ante for them. And speaking of antes, what's going to happen now is at the beginning of your turn, if you do not have enough sardine cans to make this ante, here what's going to happen is you're going to take 2 sardine cans from the bank. Over the course of the game, you're eventually going to get these fish tiles, which I'm going to do in just a minute here, and a fish tile is worth 10 sardine cans. So you can, if you have a fish tile in front of you, you can make change with the bank for 10, but you can never exchange them back with the ones that are still out. Okay? And then now the one thing that I want to talk about here is that this catwalk space here, and because I didn't cover that before, and so if you chose to do this as an action, for example here, if this player had, we'll assume it's the black player's turn, and they're going to make their ante here, they place it here, here, and here, and they're going to take this catwalk action and take all those tiles back, and on their turn they would have placed this tile right here. Now, if we look on this game board here, I have completed a pathway here where I can move some of the cats along the way, and it's called rooftop racing. Now, I could have moved the cats over if I'd wanted to. As soon as I place a catwalk tile on the board, I can essentially move these cats as far as I want to, and trying to work to get them together. But I wanted to show you something here. If we look at this one down here and we kind of trace along here, and you'll see on the game board here there's a gap here, but we have a path that goes across this to the Megans, and then it goes up here and it kind of goes to the Hendersons. We kind of go across this roof here up to the Calavinis, and then finally up to the Dontonvilles. And so if we look at this, we have a complete path now, and I'm going to be able to get those cats together. And so what's going to happen is, if you notice that some of these catwalk tiles were not mine, they belong to another player, and that's okay. I can use them, but it's kind of like I have to pay a toll here to move across. So the easiest way to do this, and how they recommend in the rules, is take sardine cans in your hand, and any of them that don't belong to you, put however many sardine cans are, the cost is, on there all the way down, and then we're going to move these cats together. So if you see here, rooftop racing, this one's going to move across this way and go all the way up, and I have met them 2 together. And then they're going to go back to my board here. This particular one where they started off with, this tile is going to be discarded, and I will take one of these fish tiles and place it in front of me. Okay, next what I'm going to do then is each of the players who these belong to, they are going to get paid that toll. And so that's going to happen over the course of the game. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about is these shelters here. Now, these shelters can be placed on any of these patios, which is the areas that are lit up. So like the Colavinis or the Dontonvilles, those don't have anything on there right now, but I had placed one here. And so what's going to happen is that if a cat moved through that was not yours, for example, if this one had moved across and came into here, as soon as it enters one of those spaces, they have to pay a toll of 2 sardine cans. So it's a little bit more expensive. So you want to try and place those in a high traffic area so that when other players pass through them, they're going to have to pay you, and so you can have the currency to keep going on and on and on. So the main driving factor is this is going to be how much currency you have and how you manage them. And so what's going to happen is some of these actions are going to become more appealing because they're going to have more and more sardine cans on there. So you may not want to take the action, but you may be forced to because you need to have currency and you really don't want to lose your turn. So essentially that's how you play Hot Tin Roof here, and what's going to happen is that you're going to play until the last fish tile is taken off of the board, and that's going to trigger the end of the game. And once the end of the game is triggered, then we have a couple of things that are going to happen here. If you still have cats out on the board, meaning you didn't take any of these room tiles, you're going to have to give back 15 sardine cans to the bank if there's no path joining them together. But if you can join them together, you will be able to have one last chance to do that, but you won't receive any reward for that. One other thing that I wanted to cover quickly with this, and with these catwalk and shelter actions, once you have all of your catwalks or shelters out on the board, you can take these actions and you can move them from one space to another. But you can't move it until you have all 3 of your shelters on the board or all 6 catwalks on the board. So it gives you a little bit of flexibility there. And that is Hot Tin Roof. All right, let's talk about Hot Tin Roof, and let me start off with talking about the artwork for this game because it's awesome. We start off with the box cover here. This looks like the Aristocats from the Disney movies, and it just kind of gives a overall feeling here. You know this game's going to be about cats, and I love the font there and on the side of the box. Looking on the game board itself, there is a lot of detail in this, in the artwork on the game board, and it's just awesome. I mean, you have all of the stonework that makes up all the patios on top of the buildings, and you've got this whole maze of pipes and ducts and power lines that create the pathways that we're going to be using to get the cats together. And you've got little details in the alleyways and the streets, little street lights, and it makes the game board just really give that nice night feel. The whole thing of all these buildings all together, but it also makes it feel kind of cluttered and really, really busy, and I think that would be intentional from the artist for this game, and I'm going to speculate that because you're really going to have to be more perceptive and observant to find your pathways to get your cats together. If everything was plain and simple, this game would be too simple and adults wouldn't be able to enjoy this game. So I think that was intentional, and I really like it because you really have to pay attention and be looking around the game board to find where you're going. Getting into the gameplay, there's some really cool mechanics. I like the whole idea of the sardine can ante. At every turn, you're going to have to ante up if you want to play, and so it's really going to push you more towards your resource management and making sure that you have those sardine cans on hand. Otherwise, you're essentially going to lose your turn. You're going to have to take 2 cans, and you're going to have to put them in your play area. So you don't want to get caught short-handed that way because it can cost you from being able to get cats together or laying down a shelter or a catwalk. And so in addition to this being about resource management, there is a bit of area control in here too, and that is where you're going to be placing those shelters and those catwalks, because you want to use the catwalks to kind of benefit yourself, but you also kind of want to be placing your catwalks and shelters on prime real estate that's going to draw a lot of traffic from your other opponents, because every time that they enter one of your shelters, that's going to cost them 2 sardine cans that they have to pay you. And if they use your catwalks, it's going to cost them a sardine can as well. So it's going to challenge your opponents to have to be mindful of where they're going, and it's also going to be benefiting you as generating a source of income, so that so that worrying about your sardine cans is not going to be such a problem. So you've got these 2 elements here. You've got resource management and you've got area control in this really fun game. Now, a couple other things that are in there that I like is that with the sardine can ante and managing your resources, as you're anteing up, some of those spaces are going to become very attractive. They're almost too good to pass up, and so sometimes you're going to be making a choice to guarantee that you have sardine cans, but it might be an action that you may not necessarily want. Which is okay, but use those choices to the best of your abilities. One of the other things is you kind of can get yourself locked out of cashing in on a lot of that stuff if you load up on your home tiles early on, because you can only have 2, and it's going to take a while for you to get them together in order to make a match. Now, one thing about this gameplay is that the pacing of the game is it kind of goes on a curve where it starts off a little bit slow and it's building, and then all of a sudden it takes off at the end. And that's because we're spending the early part of the game kind of building your pathways and getting stuff together. Later on in the game, you're going to be grabbing those home tiles from those dumpsters. You're going to be placing your cats and rooftop racing them all the way across to each other and making a match right away. So the game starts off slow. End game is going to be lickety-split. It's going to be bam, bam, bam. All of a sudden, everything, it's over before you know it. So just expect that at the end game. So couple things that you want to be mindful of too in the end of the game is that if you get stuck with cats out on the rooftop, you're going to be penalized for it, which I think is kind of comes down to, again, managing your resources. Making sure that you're not going to put yourself out on a limb there and risk getting yourself stuck at the end. So some really brilliant mechanics that come into this game. It's a lot of fun. It has kind of an element, a little bit of that like Ticket to Ride type thing at the end, where you're just kind of grabbing your home tiles and you're scoring points right away, similar to that like Ticket to Ride. If you're grabbing destination tickets, a lot of times you're able to generate points just by doing that. So just kind of be mindful of that mechanic if that's something that you're into. Overall, this game is a lot of fun. It's easy to teach, and kids will love playing this one. In fact, my daughter and I got a chance to play the mammoth size Hot Tin Roof at Gen Con this past year, and we had a blast. We were joined by one other person, and we had a lot of fun playing this on a giant size board and moving everything around and scoring lots of points. And in fact, when we played that, the scoring was very close between the person who won and the third place player. Was only a 4-point difference. So it was a pretty heated competition, and you'll notice that too, that on this particular thing, if you place your catwalks right and you manage your resources right, you're going to have some really tight scoring. So you won't really have a problem with a runaway winner. So anyways, this one here, this is a lot of fun. This is by Mayfair, Hot Tin Roof. Pick this one up if you're into cats. If you're looking for something fun for the family to play together, it's going to really kind of make you have to think a little bit. From a family perspective with this game, again, this is going to be about managing your resources. There's a little bit about looking about area control, but really with this game, looking at the artwork and how it's portrayed on the game board, really going to have to be observant of this and looking to find your pathways and make sure that you can find the most optimal route and not have to spend time paying off your opponents. So that's it, Hot Tin Roof. All right, that's it for now, and join me again next time as we take a look at another game and we see how it makes it to the table.